Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about self-sabotage. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a thinker, and that is exactly what we will be thinking about today. And luckily for me, I have Brad here who's going to really help us thinking about this in a whole new way. So, thank you so much, Brad, for coming onto my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. Let's go ahead and just dive right in. When you hear the word self-sabotage, what does it make you think about?
Primarily, I would say the overarching theme and goals and visions for your life, having that as you could say a dream basis, because I think a lot of us going back to childhood were taught that we can be whoever we want to be. Like, right, you can be an astronaut, you can be this and that. And most of the time, once you get to your early teenage years, 13, 14, 15, people start to soak into reality, which is, well, no, that was just, we kind of just lied to you about that, but that's okay, right? And so it kind of just destroys your dreams. And then it's like, well, yeah, you just work a corporate job, go do this thing. I mean, you don't have to be passionate about it. I mean, hopefully you enjoy it. And obviously, if you look at statistics, especially in the United States, most people do not enjoy what they do. They don't enjoy the amount of money they make. But putting finances aside, there's no passion, there's no fire in the actual tuning in of what you really want to do and spend your time with. So I think self-sabotage goes back to us letting societal pressure cave in and letting our dreams die. And then we're essentially taking that original vision that we had, whether it is like an astronaut, yeah, okay, that is a little bit of an out there profession, but just these dreams and these passions, these tasks that actually light your soul on fire. We take that and we say, well, I'm not good enough for that. Or, no one else I know is doing something they love. So that means I must have to go and do X, Y, and Z too. And I think
Yeah.
that's really the bulging really overarching theme of the self-sabotage. It's taking the vision we have that is most likely attainable if we put enough time, effort, and energy into. And simply, I mean, just for myself, I could have self-sabotaged my entire life by not pursuing my life coaching practice, by not starting the marketing agency with my brother, by not pursuing my drumming career. And so these are all creative endeavors that I was able to bring to light as a result of help from other people, of course, as well, but also equally so much neglect, so much
Yeah.
um, pressure to not do that and to go to school still and get a university degree and so on and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that if it's in the context that's going to get you exactly what you want. And for me, I realized it wasn't. So I think self-sabotage is us taking what we want to do and not doing it. And that goes in every facet of life.
Let's be honest, you really can do that in any area of life, but I love the way that you broke it down and I love the way that you made it real so that people can realize like, wow, we've been doing this for a really long time now since childhood because from a very age, adults were always like push down your dreams to make it more realistic or make it more plausible for them to even comprehend the possibility of just you even obtaining a better life than them because there's some parents out there who can't even fathom their children doing better than them. You know what I mean? And it's a sad truth, but it's a reality that's out there, And then the fact that we have those other parents that just want the best for their child and they support you and they believe you and they'll never sabotage you at all as long as you give them all the love that they want. So it's just like it just depends on like what spectrum that you're in. But the fact of the reality is if you cave into the pressures of just trying to be something to be acceptable in somebody else's eyes, you are only going to sabotage yourself. And it's like one thing I told somebody is that I have to speak whatever truth that it is that I have to speak that is my own, because no matter how somebody else's interprets it, it's double-edged sword. It's either I'm gonna stab me or I'm gonna stab the person, but I'm not gonna stab me. So I rather be honest and be open. And if somebody doesn't receive it, then that's not my problem. That means they have to do some self-healing, self-reflecting, and figure out why that triggered them. But that's not a personal problem. That's their personal problem. You know what I mean? So it's just like we really have to own up to what our life really wants and how we really want to show up into the world and how we really want to accomplish our goals. Because, like you said, you wanted to have this marketing team, you wanted to, be a drummer, you know what I mean, and experience that for yourself, and I had to realize that for my own dreams, I wanted to learn different languages, but I never did. But now, I was like, what's the excuse? Why can't I? So I downloaded Duolingo, I'm learning Italian, I'm learning French. And I'm like, now I'm no longer sabotaging myself saying that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I think sometimes it comes down to the truths that we believe. And for you, I mean, do you think that what we tell ourselves has a big play in it?
I think it's the only thing that has the play in it. I mean, it's obviously We also have to really analyze our inner critic and understand that most of the words and thought processes and limiting beliefs that are playing out in our mind in our own voice oftentimes actually stemmed and originated from somebody and something outside of you. You've now just internalized it and now you pretend that it's true. And that's the interesting thing about truth is, how do you define truth? What is real and what isn't? And so obviously we can convince ourselves that the truth is that the world is a bad place and that people are out to get us and that I'm just bad at romantic relationships. Nobody can love me, so on and so forth. We convince ourselves. And
Yeah,
so I don't think that those things are objective truths, but we do create and craft them into reality and we make them more true than they need to be. But see, that's interesting is because the truth, I don't think oftentimes it doesn't care about what you think is positive or negative or your personal interpretation of it. Whatever it is, it stands and it exists no matter how you look at it. And that's why the example you gave of, when I say something that's authentic to me and somebody is triggered by it or somebody gets upset, has a negative reaction or association to it. Yes, there's accountability for us of, okay, maybe our quote unquote authentic expression was something that we genuinely, that wasn't true and we thought, but there's the other thing is like, we're all human beings, and the way we express ourselves is never going to be fully encompassing of doing the best thing for everybody 100% of the time. So, of course, that's where we have to forgive
exactly.
ourselves as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, and especially in the context of if somebody else is just getting offended by it, but this is something that you genuinely created as a evidential foundational truth for yourself. I mean, you can't compromise, and that's also the interesting thing about we're often compromising ourselves at the change,
yeah,
and people don't just do this in like well, there's a few ways people do this. One of them is when you're in a group setting and somebody is talking about a certain concept and five people believe this thing and you believe the other thing,
mhm,
you shut your mouth because you don't want them to disagree with you. It also
yeah,
manifests itself in I'm just going to change my tone of voice a little bit because I'm
yeah,
talking to this person as opposed to that person, or I'm at work
mhm,
and I'm talking to my best friend. And it's like, what if you can craft an authentic part of you or really discover who that is, connect to it deeply, use that as a foundational basis for all of your conversations, all of the creation in your life, work, relationships, and everything combined. And then you don't have to think, "Ooh, do I need to kind of act this way about this part?" It's just I'm just gonna be whatever I've discovered who I am, who I've created myself to be. And obviously it is in the context of if somebody doesn't like me, screw them, but it's not actively doing that of like, oh, screw them because they don't like me. It's just like, hey, this is exactly who I've crafted myself to be. But of course, then something else we have to watch out for is becoming a little egotistical because that's another
yeah,
thing, kind of the self-growth community and something that I fell into, which is when I started to develop all these parts of myself, I started to notice that in XYZ area, I was genuinely better than other people, right? I was better at being aware of this thing that was going on and this realm of conversation, this aspect of the psychological communication and
yeah,
reasoning behind this situation, but I used that to engulf my ego, and then it got other people to not like me, and then I hid behind, oh, it's just because I'm better than them and because they're lower than me, and so on and so forth. But that's also a
yeah,
dangerous trap to get into because
yeah,
if we're talking about the context of who's better than who, there's always going to be someone better than you. If you're always playing that game of I need to be better than other people, you never win. You kind of give
mhm,
yourself a bit of satisfaction because you're always going to find someone that's doing worse than you in a certain area, but it's no
exactly.
foundational basis for crafting the life for yourself that you truly need for yourself.
Oh, I love that. I appreciate you breaking that down and making it clear because there people really need to understand the difference. And that's when we really have to realize that when we go through life, it's to develop context in a certain area, in a certain understanding, so that when we have that understanding, it keeps us humble and it keeps us away from judgment and it keeps us away from that egotistical arrogancy that likes to develop when we learn or we feel powerful or knowledgeable or superior in some type of way. It reminds us at the end of the day, we started with nothing, you know what I mean? We didn't start with this knowledge. So because we didn't start with this knowledge, we should have empathy and compassion for people who still don't and understand that they will get there one day, but we just have to be patient with them and understand that this is just right now. This is okay. Perceive that whatever as whatever you need to perceive it at the moment, but at the end of the day, you will eventually get there. If it's 5 months, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, I know that with time, people will eventually learn and grow and evolve. You know what I mean? And I think if people have that understanding and consideration, it'll keep them away from that egotisticalness because it's in basic psychology. It's kind of like you were saying, like you're gonna go with what seems familiar to be acceptable. I mean, even in psychology, they've even noted how sometimes you can perceive an event and claim it happened, but in reality it never happened. But it's because all of the other evidence you believed, you made it your truth. Back to like earlier, we were talking about knowing and identifying our truth. That is very particular and like it's hard to really identify because it fluctuates. You know what I mean? It's constantly fluctuating with every season of our life, every year of our life. And I think with self-sabotage, we have to recognize that it can come at any moment. You know what I mean? It can come at any season, at any time of our lives, but it comes down to like ourselves, you know what I mean? Having that self-respect, having that those boundaries, you know what I mean? Understanding that we can have an open mind and knowing where we will have an open mind with certain topics and where we will close ourselves off and the reasons why we close ourselves off. Like we really have to allow ourselves to have this understanding that like there has to be balance, you know what I mean? And I think self-sabotage is on the negative like end of on the pendulum or whatever, because you know what I mean, like it's either the highs or the lows. Like either you're egotistical and arrogant and too confident, or you're self-sabotaging yourself and you're downplaying yourself and you don't care about yourself, and it's like this pity party. And it's hard to find the balance. So it's like for you, Brad, how did you find balance?
I found it in people in reality telling me that I was egotistical and showing me and bringing that awareness to the light so that I can start to shift the way that I communicate certain things, but not entirely so that I compromise who I am. Because actually, one of my clients, I do some Q&A sessions in the group coaching I do. And one of my clients came to me and he asked me like, how do I become like you, Brad, in the context of how do you become so in tune with the authentic part of you that it doesn't really matter anymore of like who likes you and who doesn't. There's people that are incredibly attracted to who you are and what you present, and there's people that absolutely hate you for it. So you're never that's the thing that's kind of really you really got to play with on an individual basis of,
Yeah.
what am I doing that's triggering other people that I should actually change, and what are the things that I shouldn't change? And a lot of people just simply don't see the world the way that I do it. And look, I mean, when you're an individual, life gets isolating sometimes because most of us we live in a very individualistic culture. We're all very lonely. We pretend like um, we all pretend that we're more knowledgeable than we actually are, and I know
Yeah.
everything about this area.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to humbling yourself and understanding that obviously, especially in that's one concept that helped me as well that you already touched on, which is understanding that what you have, especially if you have a little bit of a higher awareness than most people you meet, it's a gift. I didn't wake up one day and choose to be like this. It was as a result of
Mhm.
a lot of the negative situations actually that occurred in my life that then uh, allowed me to have a lot of emotional experiences that then allowed me to look at life a little bit deeper and then become
Yeah.
obsessed with different concepts and studying different material. But that only came into place because of the circumstances that were out of my control. And so I didn't
Yeah.
choose any of this, at least maybe not in my conscious awareness did I.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm always trying to remind myself is that, and whoever you are, whatever you believe in, whatever you don't believe in, all of it's a blessing and a curse, because it's even
Yeah.
if you found the truth and you're the only human being on earth to have found it, it's like, what's the trade-off? Now you connect with nobody, right? And so it's also worth understanding that, do you want to make that trade-off? I like to talk to people about how it's always worth it because you might as well know what the truth is rather than what's BS. But
Yeah.
a lot of people, ignorance is bliss. They want to live in the comfort of believing that the world is out to get, because it's a comfortable idea to think that you have no control and you're the victim because, well, of course you're powerless and you can't do anything. So what does that mean? That you don't have to take accountability and that nothing that ever happens to you or to anyone in your relationships is your fault and it's always somebody else's fault. So it's also interesting because whether you're, like you were saying, like whether you're egotistical or you're very much looking down upon yourself, these are both you self-sabotage both ways. And so that's what people say, well, let me get out of the victim mindset so that I can become knowledgeable in the self-development stuff, and now I'll just be better. But not always. You can kind of get into that other trap. But I really became aware of it once I started to realize that it wasn't serving me in my relationships by trying to put myself on a higher pedestal than other people.
Yeah, most definitely. Because at the end of the day, we have to realize that despite the fact that this is such an individualistic culture and movement that's coming from the United States and pushing out and over to other places, is at the end of the day, we all still need each other and we all still need a community because it's that sense of belonging. And having that wisdom is so much better than living in ignorance, because with wisdom, it gives you empathy. With wisdom, it gives you understanding, it gives you compassion, it gives you this place of just acceptance and a place to be able to be soft-hearted and with and show people love, because you understand that ignorance is bliss. You understand that there are a lot of people out there that play the victim card. You know what I mean? We understand that there's a lot of ways to look at the world, but at the same time, like we do it in a way that protects ourselves. So it's like for your client that was like, oh, how do I not care about everybody caring about, like caring about what other people think about me and knowing when to balance it? I think the best way to do that is to just know yourself to that degree. Know where the areas that you need to work on. Know the areas that you are very well in already, and know the areas that are still, you know what I mean, in a work in progress. Like we have to know all the areas in ourselves, because when we go out into the world and we interact with other people, then it allows us to see, okay, we are helping somebody by we're bestowing the knowledge that we already know and we feel confident in. You know what I mean? And then the ones that reject it, well, then it's okay. You know what I mean? It's no hard feelings. There's billions and trillions of people in the world. I'm gonna get upset of one person rejecting me. No, you keep it going. You know what I mean? You let it slide off your shoulder like rain on a rainy day. Like it doesn't matter, because that's only one person out of a trillion. We don't attach ourselves to people. And that's the thing, is that people realize is that you truly sabotage yourself when you tie yourself with somebody and be like, this person is my life. This person is my light. If I can't do anything without this person. Like when you attach yourself to another human being or another object or anything in that manner, you really truly hurt yourself, because you don't realize what you can do already by yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, I mean, that's what I was thinking about. I mean, when you started talking, because it truly is like defining this balance is the real key to avoiding self-sabotage and avoiding this egotistical arrogancy that a lot of people expect men to be in, and now they're expecting women to be in. And it's just this, just having this, I know everything even though I don't know nothing at all. Like I think I'm more proud of somebody say I don't know but teach me, versus I know and I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like for
Hmm.
you, how do you handle people who are closed-minded?
In my personal life and in a potential prospect for a new client, um, I let them be closed-minded because I can't change that about somebody. There's people that are, I don't want to use the word worth letting go of, but it hurts you more to try and play the hero, to try and save somebody, because you end up putting yourself 10 feet down in the hole that they're in and realizing that there's no ladder to climb back out on, and now you're stuck down there
Yes.
with them. And so that's what I've realized is in all of my past failed friendships and romantic relationships in which I tried to help or save the person, it ended horribly. The people and my coaching practice with the clients that I work, I mean, the people that like they're thrilled to make improvements. They're thrilled to ask questions. They're thrilled to say, "Hey, I'm a little bit confused on how to deal with this. What's your opinion on it? How could I start to navigate this?" It's only the individuals that are willing to lay out and extend their hand to saying like, "Hey, could you help me out? Could you pull me out of this?" And again, it's not like I'm not a fan of like people relying on other people, right? It's not like, okay, I'm your coach, like give me your hand and I'll pull you out, and if I wasn't here, you can't do anything. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's just about giving you that extra step that maybe you feel like you need at this current moment in time. And we can do that in friendships, in our romantic relationships, in our family relationships, but of course, it's a two-way street. Both individuals need to desire to do this. And so, yeah, I mean, in the realms of, attaching to people, there's a level of unhealthy attachment that, it's interesting because if we're talking about what we perceive to be love, for most people, it's not love at all, and it's simply attachment. So I think attachment and love are very correlated. And I think in order to love, there is attachment involved. Some people in the very spiritual sense would say you can love completely without attachment. I don't, I've soaked into that idea a little bit philosophically, and I used to believe it, although I don't anymore. And I've realized that there's actually a healthy level of attachment that you feel physically to someone that is healthy. And of course, it's only healthy when you both feel it and you're both on that same path with the same vision. The problem is obviously we like to, because of our failed romantic experiences, because our poor childhood and our inability to understand what love truly is, how to receive it and how to give it, we start to walk into people's lives and we let people walk into our lives and stay that don't show us what we are showing them. And this is where people pleasing tendencies come in. This is where, I love them so much and they just left me. It's like there's not love if it's not being exchanged. You're just attached to them. And we have to understand that attachment isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes this evil feeling and experience when it's not attached to a greater purpose. And so it's like, okay, in my romantic relationship, we have shared visions, we have shared values, we're reaching towards the same goals. If I was going in this direction, she was going there, it wouldn't work. But we could pretend that it's working. And in fact, that's what most people are doing in all of their relationships. They're pretending it's working when it's not. I've done this plenty of times before. And guess what happens 100% of the time? It ends horribly. And here's the thing, we're all like, I was looking at one of my clients came to me the other day. He's like, I was looking through it in like rose-colored glasses, and it's like, I can't believe I didn't see this. And I challenged him on it, and I said, you did see this. You just ignored it, right? It's like, and I get it. Like we all do these things. It's like you want things to work when you know they're not going to, and we try. We play the hero for not even other people, but for ourselves. And then when
Yeah,
it inevitably doesn't work out, we then what? We don't even take accountability for it. We just blame the other person and oh, they were
exactly.
manipulative. They did this. They did X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, we got to
Yeah,
look in the mirror and like, what types of people are you giving your time, energy, effort, and attention to?
yeah,
And we should start to project that. And a lot of people have a lot of people's standards aren't really standards at all.
yeah,
And also, and of course, there's all the conversation about like, oh, bare minimum, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the ideologies that are being thrown around are very BS because there's not actually there's no roots behind it. It's just kind of like
yeah.
flat. It's just like dirt being flown around. But in
Yes,
terms of developing actual standards for yourself of like truth, honesty, growth, acceptance, true love, these are things everybody needs to reach for towards the ideal. And don't expect it to be easy because that's why it's the ideal, because it's very challenging. And it takes day after day. And the points that you were making before of how in any season of your life, even when it's going well, all of a sudden that thing can come in, that event can happen, that relationship could kind of take a turn. And then now it seems like you're starting from ground zero. But never let yourself get to feeling like you're not feeling that you're at ground zero. It's okay to feel that, but getting to the point where you convince yourself that you're there or back there where you were 5 years ago isn't true because I mean look at all the growth you've made, look at all the things that have worked out, look at the better financial situation that you're in, better relationship with yourself, whatever the case is. So I think
yeah,
we got to give ourselves a little bit more credit, and then of course in our relationships build with people that are actually right for us. But a lot of people, especially the men that I work with, no awareness around the women that they're interacting with. Of oh, I didn't see that this was coming and that she was going to manipulate me like this. It's like that she put it on, she just held it out to you 24/7. You just refuse to look at it, and women do it too. It's like oh, he just he slept with me and then he left. It's like oh. So he just like pretended that he liked you and then you allowed him to get access to you and now he left. It's like, well, maybe you should have waited a little bit longer. Maybe you should have gotten, and here's the thing that the reflection we all need to do. You have to get more in tune with yourself because here's the thing. When you know your foundational ability and what you stand on and stay true to that in all of your relationships and interacting with people, it becomes crystal clear in who's right for you and who isn't. Dating, friendships, co-working relationships, business relationships, they become easy. The second someone does something incongruent, you notice it, you pick up on it, you make a mental note, and if it happens again, you're like, okay, this is an inauthentic person. They have to go. But you need the ability to, or the desire to do that because a
yeah,
lot of people again want to live in ignorance is bliss. It's like I feel so scarcity like nobody's ever going to love me. So the second that somebody comes in and gives me attention, which I
yeah,
mistake for love, I'm going to keep them around for as long as humanly possible so I'm not alone forever. And that's how most of us are living
exactly.
our lives.
Oh, you are absolutely right. I think you said it spot on because A lot of the people don't really think about it in that manner. They don't really even try to comprehend it in that manner because truly to be blind or to have my hand cover over my eyes or to only see as far as my hand can go, at least I'm okay because this is my safe zone. But in reality, it's not good. And it's not good to also try to match energies either. Like, because you're always going to get pulled or you're always going to get dragged down. Like, no, you have to have that grounding. You have to have that understanding with who you are so that no matter where you go in any situation, like you are stable, you are strong, you are firm. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think those are very valid points. And it sucks because time is catching up to us. And I really feel like we can keep going down this rabbit hole because, oh my goodness, the avenues that we can really go down to be to really break this down is truly fascinating that people really don't comprehend like the all the areas that really goes into self-sabotage. Like it's more than just denying yourself. It's more than just saying yes to everything and being a people pleaser. It's more than that. You know what I mean? It has deeper roots. So it's like people really need to think about this. But what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Really soak into the awareness of every pillar of your life. When you think you're at the bottom of the barrel and you think you've scraped everything that has to do with you and your inability to love and care and be aware of what part you have to play in the downfall of your life, go a little bit deeper. And
Mm.
you're probably at only a few percentage capacity when it could be at 100 when you really look at things a little bit deeper. And yeah, when you're looking at why it's everybody else's fault, start to figure out why it's your fault and not to fully put the blame on yourself in any capacity because you could have a tendency to do that, but to look at the truth of, and so
Yeah.
that's what I'll leave everyone with is whatever, not what you like think the truth is now and the truth that's not serving you because if it's the truth, it most likely will serve you. Or if
Yeah.
the truth shows up out of nowhere, you'll realize that you're doing something wrong and then you simply shift it. But it's that's how you know you're self-sabotaging. If reality is constantly fighting you, it means you're fighting reality. You can't fight what's true. So accept whatever it is and use that to propel you to get exactly what you want.
There you go. I love it. I think those are perfect words to keep us on thinking. Thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate this. This has been like a great conversation. Love the energy, love the vibe. Ah, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you truly did enjoy this conversation too, how could you not, right? How could you not? Ah, please go check him out. I have his photo on my website, or if you're listening to audio and you're on YouTube, go click it. And in the description, you'll find his access to his website. He has great content so that you can continue on thinking. And isn't that the point? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please just continue on thinking. Bye.